George Williams was finally freed June 24th, 2020, having faced no trial after his arrest for murder in 1970. At 71, he had spent 50 years lost in Jamaica's prison system. When I first started doing videos online, this was one of the first videos I did, and when they had released Noel Chambers. If anyone remembers the name Noel Chambers is actually the person who died in custody. His clothing was filthy and his body showed evidence of chronic emaciation. He was covered with what appeared to be vermin bites, live bed bugs, aka chink, and he showed signs of having bed sores. This particular individual in the picture, at that time, he was imprisoned in Jamaica for 49 years. Shortly afterwards, he was released. George Williams was finally freed June 24th, 2020, having faced no trial after his arrest for murder in 1970. At 71, he had spent 50 years lost in Jamaica's prison system. In May, the Observer reported on this story, and apparently the first offer from the government was $4 million. And when the family rejected the $4 million, then they said, okay, let's up the money. So they offered $6 million. For those who don't know, when you go before the court accused of a crime or supposedly innocent until proven guilty. I almost tie up my tongue because in Jamaica we know it works the other way around. Innocent until proven guilty. So you go to court and they ask you if you plead guilty or not guilty. Now, a person who is of unsound mind cannot be deemed to understand even the question they are being asked. So you are not able to say guilty, Your Honor, or not guilty, Your Honor. We have this thing in Jamaica where you are detained under the Governor General's pleasure, which means that you're going to go to jail until you are deemed in your right mind enough to say, Your Honor, I'm guilty, or Your Honor, I'm not guilty. You are supposed to be taken to court at regular intervals, right? So really and truly, every time the circuit court come up, you are supposed to be brought before the judge. INDECOM explains, at pleasure can be Her Majesty's pleasure. Okay, now we have a king. So at His Majesty's pleasure, the Governor General's pleasure, or the court's pleasure, when children are found guilty of a capital offense, when persons are found unfit to plead by the court, or persons found by the court to be guilty of an offense but are adjudged by the court to be suffering from a mental disorder. They identified at the time 146 persons who were detained. Mind you, this is a 2020 report. 146 persons who were mentally ill and who had been detained at the Governor General or the court's pleasure and deemed unfit to plea and awaiting trial. So none of these persons had yet been found guilty of a crime. This table tells you the length of time. There are at least 15 who have been incarcerated for over 30 years. So this person you see pictured here was among 15 who had been at that time incarcerated for over 30 years. So the table says 48 people were detained for less than 1 year. 59 people between 1 to 9 years. There were 10 people who had been detained for 10 to 19 years. There were 8 people who had been detained for between 20 and 29 years. There were 8 people who had been detained for between 30 and 39 years. There were 7 people who had been detained for between 40 and 49 years. And there were 6 people for whom the amount of time that they were detained was unknown. He has been in prison from all that time. He has been imprisoned when he was never convicted. Right? We still don't know whether or not he did anything. $6 million for 50 years is 120,000 Jamaican dollars a year. 120,000 Jamaican dollars per year for each of his 50 years. 2,307 Jamaican dollars a week. The minimum wage in Jamaica is $13,000 a week. If the government were to use the minimum wage as the basis to calculate how much this man is owed, because you can't calculate based on 1970s figure. You have to calculate based on today's figure. He would be owed $676,000 a year. For 50 years, that would be $33 million, $33.8 million. That would be what this man is owed for 50 years, just based on a minimum wage alone. $33 million is the Governor General's salary. Give to him. Take Governor General's salary and give it to this man. The man in a jail before Andrew Ban, but you want to blame Andrew? Yes. Because you don't seem to have the comprehension skills to understand that all politicians need to be blamed for the current system that we have now. Don't take the job if you don't want to be blamed. Because I did not say that the leaders before him should not take responsibility. I never said that. I never said that Portia, PJ, Siaga, these things have been going on for a long time. This is not no. Detained at the Governor General's pleasure, Her Majesty's pleasure, is a colonial law. This law predates our independence. So, me saying Andrew should be blamed, why would you interpret that to mean that the other shouldn't be blamed? I never said that. I said any politician who take the job is to be blamed. Because you inherited a situation and told us you could fix it. Why would you? If I applied for a job and I say to these people, this is what I'm going to do, they're going to give me some benchmarks that I need to accomplish and I need to achieve, right? They're going to hold me to that. And if they call me up before the board and say, we gave you these benchmarks and you told us at the interview, you told us you could do this job and you can't do it, what are they going to say? You think me can go in there and smile and tell them, say, well, the people before me, remember, I inherited this condition. You think so me can really go before people board and say to them, I inherited this condition. So I really don't think that I should be blamed for something that I inherited. You really think that that'll work? Only in government does that excuse work. Only in government does that excuse work. Wherein you all accept politicians telling you that it is okay for them to not do a job that they said they could do.